Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. We are delighted.
Excuse me,
I'm
holding that all show.
Bless you.
You know
Still got
what?
a bit of that hot sauce in the system.
I just had a nice flashback there, me and Mariner.
Oh, what?
Well, last time we were in River Plate, me and him, we were at the Police concert.
Oh.
And then actually, the day before, we were at a game. And then they've got this huge big screen. And the camera's going around, and they came on me and him, right? And normally when I would have, normally when, coaches are out scouting, they're all hiding and they don't want seen, right? Honestly, as soon as the camera came on me and Mara's, big screen, 20 foot by 30 foot, we're like that.
Scouting. Yeah, on your
Hugging each other and waving.
Had a brilliant time in Argentina, right,
fantastic,
Stevie?
fantastic, brilliant.
Oh, very nice memories as well.
It was, yeah.
Of course you two waved at the camera.
Of course we did that.
All right, let's get to the first question then. For the boys, with the loss of Gundogan and potential exits of Mahrez, Walker, Silva and Laporte looming, is Man City vulnerable? And is this the season Arsenal, Liverpool and United have a shot at the title? We ask the guys this a lot here in the studio, Gab. So let me ask you that.
They won the treble last year. I mean, let me repeat this. They won the treble last year. These other clubs who you mentioned, I mean, other than Arsenal, they finished a long, long way back. No, I think they still have to be favorites. Now, if all those guys leave, but even then, Gundogan, they brought in a replacement. Walker had some huge games, obviously, in the Champions League, as we saw, but, I think he showed, we moved Akanji around. It's not like Walker was a mainstay, he was getting older. They're already preparing, I think, for his exit. Bernardo Silva, this has been going on forever. I'm assuming if he really was going to leave this summer, he would have already gone. It's in his interest to have preseason with his new club. Mahrez is the one who, again, not a starter. They have enough depth there, they can deal with it. I think he's one who, if they had an offer, I think they would have been okay with him moving on. So, no, I think they still have to be overwhelming favourites.
Okay. Shaka, you were a part of your country's greatest footballing achievement. What were celebrations like in Trinidad when you qualified for the World Cup and once you returned?
Well, I don't know. I didn't experience them firsthand when we qualified because I didn't go back. So went back to play for West Ham against Spurs. But I remember being in Bahrain, we qualified, and then we got on the bus after, and the country just stopped. I spoke to people back home, and literally wherever you were in your car, people just stopped in the middle of the street. Everything just stopped. Music was up. It just turned into a big island-wide party. It really was special. I half regret not going back immediately after we qualified, but as I say, it was in the middle of the season, and I had that to focus on. Going back after was also special. Just kind of the fans recognizing what we had done. And while it may, on the face of it, might not have been much, we didn't get embarrassed, and I think that was important. And then just to be a part of all that. So especially not going back after Bahrain, going back after Germany was good.
Nice stuff. For Shaka, another one for you. A goalkeeper is expected to meet the same fitness benchmarks that outfield players are evaluated against. For example, the lactate blood test. I
have no idea what that is. I have no.
Do these guys have to do the bleep test?
Back in the year, I was about to say, the only test we had to do back in the day was the bleep test, and we weren't expected to come anywhere near to the outfield players. Thank goodness. I mean, Stevie knows, when we were playing, preseason was running. Keepers don't run. The only time I remember, we at Portsmouth, we had a fitness specialist who was a goalkeeper in amateur days, and put together a circuit for goalkeepers in pre-season. Chris Neville, I think his name was, he actually went on to work for Nike. Incredible. That was my favorite pre-season. It was hard, but it was goalkeeper specific. It was just as tiring, but it was goalkeeper specific. And I really enjoyed that. But then again, this is coming at the very tail end of my career.
There's always an exception. Grobbelaar was the exception. He could run all day.
Really?
Aye.
Yeah, but then there's also an exception for the outfield players. So like when I was at West Ham, we had John Hartson.
Yeah.
I had John Hartson, so I could be John Hartson in a run. So that was good.
He's not built for running.
No, he's not. No, he's built for comfort. Bless him.
It's like Big Augie. Big Stevie was not built for running.
So what you're saying about the goalkeeping coach that you had then that made it all goalkeeper specific, will that just be across the board now at all these professional clubs, do you think?
I don't know. That's a question I've never asked. Yeah. I hope so.
Right.
I say that he wasn't a goalkeeping coach. He was a fitness specialist. He was part of the backroom medical staff. But he was he was an amateur goalkeeper and put together the circuit. Just made perfect sense.
Would it be fair to say that the shape of a goalkeeper these days is completely different?
What are we trying to say, Stephen?
Well,
I'd
like to display that.
In the days when goalkeepers were only asked to just save it and be big and strong, so that's how you end up with people like Big Augie, Big Grizovic. You know, David Seaman was big. He wasn't particularly quick. I'm just saying in general, goalkeepers were more about size.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Whereas today, I mean, I can't think of a goalkeeper that's carrying any weight at all now.
Once again, I'm not sure what you're trying to say about me, Stephen.
Look at Pressman. I played with a guy called, we used to call him Fatty Pressman.
Kevin Pressman.
Yeah. Because
you could counter that with a David James that we were discussing. I don't think I've ever seen a
Well, that was probably where the change started.
Oh, so I started that change is what you're saying.
Well, you were ahead of your time, shall we say.
You played with Andy Gorham, too.
Andy Gorham,
He was also...
No, I see Andy was solid. Andy wasn't really carrying when he was younger. He was just a bear. Andy was just built like a bear. But nowadays, they don't carry anything.
Nowadays, they're all a different shape.
Aye, they are.
Thanks to me. Thanks to me. That's what I am.
The trailblazer. The Trinidadian trailblazer.
You can still answer the next one as well here, Gab, even though it says player, because I want to know about this with its football rules. For everyone, what is one football rule, tradition, tactic or technology now that you would like to have back in the day as a player? Oh, okay, so something now that you would have liked to have seen back in the day.
Okay.
Well, it depends how far back you want to go, but... and Stevie may disagree with this for obvious reasons, but I think had the back pass rule been around, had it been brought in earlier, I think football would have been different and perhaps a little more open and I mean, it's entertaining, obviously it always was, but in a different way. But I think certain changes in the way the game is played that have made it a lot better that came along in the 90s, I think they would have come along sooner.
I can't disagree with some of what Cap's saying. At the same time, the change in the way the game's played has taken away some of the things that we loved about it so much when you could do that. Like for the physical side of the game, for example.
I think the games, I like how the game's progressing in that regard.
No, the game's good. No, but I'm just saying, there's a lot of things about the game then that are not in it today that in particular in Britain, Scotland and England and Wales, we loved the challenge. The crowd thrived on it.
I agree that...
So things like that have changed because the game's more open, because of the change of the rules.
I mean, there's a flip side, right? Because you could say, we love the crunching challenge, but then I also would have loved to have seen Norman Whiteside play another 10 years. For example, right? So,
and that's the bit I agree with you with.
There's
a give and take.
I think while I appreciate some of the physicality of the game of yesterday, at times it was just brutal. It wasn't just physicality; it was brutality. And for me, I am happy with this version of the game, even if it means sometimes players rolling around in a way that they wouldn't have 30 years ago. To not see that brutality, because at times I really feel like it overstepped the mark.
Yeah, no, I did, yeah.
Is there ever you watch a game and you think, oh, I wish we had that when I was playing?
The money, you mean?
VAR.
Saudi Arabia?
100% VAR.
Right.
100%. I would assume every other player is the same. Anybody who's ever scored a legit goal, that was disallowed because some part-time, unprofessional linesmen didn't really know whether they were offside or not, would just stick the flag up. Absolutely 100%. Also, playing against certain different countries, teams, I won't mention Gab's country, then that would have changed some outcomes of games as well. So VAR 100%.
Nice of you not to name any countries.
Well, I didn't name any countries.
Very mature of you.
I just mentioned Gab's
very
name.
mature
that's
of you.
all. Didn't mention any countries. But VAR, big time. Scoring a goal, a legit goal is disallowed. Has to be the ultimate.
And without naming names as well.
And without naming names.
Why do some transfers take so long, Gab? Even when terms are supposedly agreed, such as Rice to Arsenal or Onana to Manchester United?
So I think, Rice to Arsenal, I think, is an outlier. I think that's an odd one where I think we'll find out why it took so long, because obviously agreement was in place. Because I think a lot of times, if you're asking about once the agreement is reached, there's still a whole bunch of details. A lot of footballers have extremely complex contracts. They're like little corporations. You have to line up their sponsors with the new club sponsors and whatever else. That takes time. The other thing is, and people still think that for a player to move, it's Arsenal ring up West Ham and say, hey, will you sell us Declan Rice? Yeah, sure, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Let's negotiate the price, and then you go to Declan Rice and you say, Declan, you want to come here? How much you want to get paid? Okay, you work it out. No, that's not how it works. There's an army of intermediaries that moves because you're not...
That scam off the top.
That's how some people feel about it.
Well, that's more to the point.
So, for example, Arsenal aren't allowed to speak to Declan Rice or his agent while he's under contract with West Ham. They have to get permission from West Ham. West Ham's not really going to give that permission until officially, right? Until they've agreed a price with Arsenal, or they're confident they can agree a price. In reality, Arsenal have to speak to Declan Rice before, because it look like idiots if they agree a price with West Ham and then Declan says, no, I'd rather go to Saudi Arabia or whatever, I don't want to go. So this is where the intermediaries come in. And you do it to shift players, or to move players out, players who might not know they want to go out, the club don't want. This whole army of people who are out there, and by the way, they're the ones who get paid the most money in this, more so than the player agent most of the time. These guys all want to get paid, and they can all hold up the deal until the very end. So a lot of times that is what's happened. People argue, all right, how are we going to split up this commission? And that's what it comes down to.
It's so ridiculous, isn't it?
What?
It really is.
Brokerage service? Intermediaries?
The technicalities that every single man and his dog and the pups and everybody else that's involved knows that it's complete and utter nonsense.
Steve, it used to be a lot worse. Now there's a thing called the FIFA transfer matching system. This is for international transfers, where to get the permission to shift the registration from one country to another, all you do is you upload documents into this website run by FIFA, and in like 15 minutes, you get the green light. Before that, you used to send faxes, do all this by hand. They'd have to check and double check, get things notarized and lawyered and whatever, and it could take weeks.
But there was always a way to get it done quicker. Whoa there!
How does it go?
Well, you go like that. Look, I'm sick and tired. I've sent you 65 facts. I know exactly why you're not getting back to me. So here's what I'll do. I'll send you blah, 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 and you'll get it done, and it'll be here in 10 minutes. Yeah? Okay, right. That's how it used to be done.
Do you think that the Honus will be speaking to Levy?
I mean, it's just comical. It's just comical. It was being done 1,000 years ago, and it's still the same today. It's always one of them. Whoa there, Leslie.
But it's funny, though, joking aside, when you think about this, right? People sit and they will argue over minimal amounts, minimal percentages. And so a player, instead of joining in July, where he can do preseason and play the first 3-4 games of the season, which has a material income on a material impact on the outcome of the season. Yeah. Instead, maybe the player moves on August 30th. And so you haven't had him for preseason, you haven't had him for those 3 or 4 games you end up with less points in the table, but hey, you were being chintzy about paying an extra 50 grand in July.
All right, and it looks as though Onana to Manchester United will be announced in the next couple of days, so we'll be talking about that on the show as well. Gab, start, bench and drop the following centre-back pairings.
I like these.
From a country we won't mention. Okay? All right, no clues. No clues.
Oh, I think I know.
Maldini, Nesta, Baresi, Costa
Gab's
Curta, and Chiellini, Bonucci.
I think I know where Gab's gone.
All right. So I'm going to start with the drop. I'm going to drop Chiellini, Bonucci. Again, nothing personal against them, but it's just the level of the competition. And Nesta, for me, had he stayed fit, would have been the greatest defender Italy's ever produced, or the greatest central defender Italy's ever produced. Maldini is probably the greatest defender Italy's ever produced. So I'd be tempted to start them. However, I see that be Franco Baresi, and I got to go with that. Franco Baresi and Costa Curta, I would start them narrowly ahead of Maldini and Nesta. And yeah, sorry, Giorgio and Leo.
You agree, Stevie?
Aye, 100%. Yeah, I thought Gab would go there.
Yeah.
Aye, absolutely.
But yeah, it's a pretty impressive bunch. We did produce some.
Yeah,
centre-backs.
Who?
exactly.
We don't want to mention any countries.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
I don't know what country they're
Probably
from.
best not to.
It's not important. It's not important what country they're from. Not important.
No, it isn't. Not important. Last question to Gab. Milinkovic-Savic looks like a steal at 40 million and being only 28. Why didn't European clubs try to sign him?
So Milinkovic-Savic, as Manchester United fans and others know well, has been linked with a move away from Lazio every single year, I think, for the last 5 years. I think 40 million at 28 actually isn't that much of a steal. I mean, at the right club, he would have worked. I think Milinkovic-Savic, because he is an unorthodox player in the sense that he's so big and strong, but he's also skillful, but maybe not the most mobile. All these things coming together, he needs to fit a certain type of team. Maybe that's what put people off. I think the other thing that put people off is, it's also the same reason. I'm going to say this carefully, but it does link back to what Stevie was saying before. There are some clubs that are easier to deal with when it comes to transfers, and other clubs and other players who have a whole army of intermediaries and friends of friends around them. And I think that definitely put certain clubs off, especially Manchester United in the past.
So no woe there's in the Milinkovic-Savic deals. Right, last question. Do video games advance football vision on the field?
What?
I don't know. I don't play video games.
No, I don't play video games either. And why would it enhance anything on the field? Are you talking about actually in the game? Actually, are you talking about?
I don't know.
So is the question reading?
Where's
You know,
this come from?
if you're playing a video game or a football video game, does it help you when you actually play on the field? Is that what they're trying to say?
I don't know.
Ah, it is. Yeah. Yeah.
I-
No, the answer is no.
I mean, the pros have spoken. Where it does help, and I can tell a little anecdote. Years ago, I was at a preseason friendly between Milan and Chelsea, and that day I was lucky to be invited. I was up in a box with Paolo Maldini and his kids, including Daniel Maldini, who of course now is a professional footballer. And it was one of those preseason games where, you know, at halftime there's a bazillion substitutions, and you start getting those guys coming on with the really high shirt numbers, and Maldini's like, who's that guy? Who's that guy? I don't know. And his son is rattling off.
Knows everybody.
What? Knows everybody. Oh, number 73. Oh, that's Bobby
Yeah.
Rockman. And I asked Paul, like, what's the deal with it? Because Daniel must have been like 12 at the time. And he's like, yeah, he plays FIFA all day. He knows all this stuff.
My son is the same. My
In
son
that sense, it's advanced him.
knows all kind of random players. I'm like, whatever. Okay. Yeah, that is the same.
So maybe there is something in it.
No, there's nothing in it.
No, there's not.
You know who the players are.
What
That's
do you mean,
all.
maybe this? Where did that come from?
I was wondering if
Well,
there was
maybe
like
there
another edition of the show that we've forgotten where this was brought up, but I'm not sure.
What?
You know, sometimes it's a continuation of something that has happened on a previous extra
Oh,
time.
you mean the question? Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
No.
I don't know. Or you could go the other way in video games. Again, talking about David James, who during his career, everybody knew he played a lot of video games. Too much to that point.
All right, Dad.
Yeah.
Too much.
Put those video games down, David.
Did you like a little video game, Stevie?
No, absolutely not.
No.
No
Let's be
Not a
honest.
bit of Mortal Kombat.
Oh, Stevie!
Oh, no.
Little bit of Mario Kart.
I thought you meant football games. No, Mario Kart, I went through a stage of, well, let me put it a different way. Whilst I could still beat my son at it, I used to play it and then I stopped playing because he used to start beating me. It used to drive me insane.
Hey, what game?
Who are you,
I used to get
Princess?
home.
What game?
Mario Kart.
Oh.
So he'd get home from school, right? I'd be like, hey, Michael, you want, he'd be like 8 or 9, right? You want to give him Mario Kart? And he'd be like, no. I'd be like, come on. He'd be like, okay. And then I'd beat him. Like, hey. And about 6 months later, he kept beating me. I was like, I'm not playing.
Come on.
Enough of that. I used to go mental. I used to go really, aye.
Stevie's super competitive still. He was talking about cornhole the other day, playing
Honestly,
that, and
I know.
he's really annoyed at his own daughter.
Honestly, I walked off. I'll tell you why I walked off, Gav. So, it finished 21-21, right? And she only got 1 point, right? And I've played with her before, and I know she's way better.
She was on the opposite team to you.
No, she was in my
She was in
team.
your team.
She was in my team.
Right.
It was me and my daughter against Craig's daughter Heidi and her boyfriend, right? And so,
Wait,
and so,
you think there'd been a bit of this?
no.
A little bit more there.
I don't know. It's that, if you really, yeah, you've got to go like that and back. So, anyway, so I got to 21, and I say I because she only got 1 point. And I started getting annoyed halfway through when she wouldn't get any points, right? And I started thinking there was something going on because she knows I get competitive, right? Anyway, so I'd already reached 21, so Heidi had 2 bags left, and considering Heidi had not had more than one right in the hole, she had two bags left, and she had to get both of them to draw. She threw the first one, got it in, and my daughter went, yay! And I went, what are you doing? She went, Mom, it was a good shot. I went, hold on a minute. I said, I'm telling you, you're at it. You've thrown this. Anyway, Heidi threw the next one straight in, 21 all. She went, yeah, well done, Heidi. I was like, right, I've had enough. Something going on here, and I walked off.
He wasn't even telling us to make us laugh yesterday.
No.
He was really angry.
I was really angry,
Well, that is upsetting. It's the fruit of your own loins.
honestly.
We're talking about
She was-
cornhole here.
She was
Who
definitely
takes a
at
dive in
it, telling you.
cornhole?
And I won
Throw one in here.
So I was like, you know what? I'm done. I was deadly serious,
Competitive nickel.
honestly.
Never changed.
Can't help it. Can't help it. Can't help it.
But you know, that's the Harry Maguire mentality about being competitive that keeps him in Manchester United.
Yeah, but there's realistic and there's stupidity.
Right.
All right.
Which one is cornhole?
Very realistic.
Okay, I just had to.
Have you seen the viewing figures on ESPN for cornhole?
No, I haven't. I haven't seen.
All right.
More than MLS.
Let's wrap this up.
Oh, do you remember this music?
Oh, I need to warm up.
Oh, he's having flashbacks.
Yeah,
He's having flashbacks.
that's not Mario Kart though.
That's not.
No, that's
That's Donkey Kong.
no, not Donkey Kong. That's
Sonic.
nope, no Sonic. Jump up and stuff.
Not Mario Brothers.
Oh, what's the
Not
name?
Mario Kart, but
No.
isn't the same Mario Brothers?
Yeah.
Super Mario.
There you go.
Could be.
Super Mario.
Could be, yeah.
Just to let you know, there's a weather delay for the Messi unveiling in Florida. Sebi Salazar has said the forecast looks bleak for the rest of the evening. Lots of lightning. All right. Well, we hope
Oh, that's a
enjoy
bad
your
omen.
evening.
That's a bad omen for the
Florida.
future.
No. No woe there will help that situation out.
No.
That's all we've got time for on the latest edition of Extra Time. We'll be back to do it all again tomorrow. See you then.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week, subscribe to ESPN Plus.